Have you ever wanted to tap into the high-level players and extract the essential tips and tricks to get better at playing at Civ? Well, sit back and relax because I take on the challenge to do just that. Welcome to the Masterclass series. Let's do this. Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, and I can't believe it, but I actually have Kaiserklein with me today. I know it's insane, and we're going to be talking about France in this masterclass. So before we get into that good stuff, Kaiserklein, do you want to introduce yourself and how you got into AoE 3?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here, and
It's all right.
hello everyone. So, yeah, basically I've started playing AoE 3, I think 10 years ago. Well, let's say I did play it as a child, but not online or anything, you know. But
Yeah.
in 2013, I did start. I just realized there was a multiplayer button,
All right,
and
yeah.
I just started playing on vanilla, and played about like 2 years there. And then an old friend of mine was called OV12, but I think he's not really around anymore. Just told me I should come and play the one of the first ESOC tournaments. So I just like bought T80, you know, and that's how I started like really ranking up. Because obviously, you know, in vanilla, at some point you just reach the top, but you're not actually top. You're just top of a bit of a dead game. But yeah, on T80, then I just you know, started practicing with Maito and H2O back then quite a lot, and that's how I improved. And yeah, and then I think it's more recent history that you guys know with all the sub tournaments and stuff.
Yeah,
and DE of course.
Yeah. And how do you feel about DE? Just a very short answer, if you will.
I think you kind of know how I feel about DE, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're quite well known and famous to be quite outspoken around DE. I love it. So I just thought I'd ask you.
Yeah, and I used to like try really hard to like you know, help the devs and stuff, but I kind of gave up because it's like too time consuming and kind of like not really rewarding as well. But yeah, I mean, well, let's say D has improved, I think, in some ways, like the bugs and stuff like that. But I think the balance is still not very satisfactory, and I'd rather play on the old EP if in terms of balance at least. So yeah, I guess I'm not very much satisfied with the.
Okay, all right then. Well, we're going to get into it. So first general tip that you could give anyone playing any Civ that would really help them out in the game. What is it?
I mean, I guess there's lots of tips, but so I'm just gonna choose one that I guess is not as common. You know, I could tell you, yeah, you should scout, you should train vills. I mean, yeah, obviously you should always train vills, but let's say macro your age one properly, like work on your age one. And that's going to be related to France as well, because France has sort of a special age one that not many Civs have. So, yeah, work on your age one, because if you queue your first Vil 5 seconds late, you're going to be down like sort of a quarter or a fifth of a Vil the whole game. You're going to age late. And so on. You know, you could get a TP that you didn't get because you didn't scout properly the treasures in age one and stuff like that. Yeah, so I would say work on your age one. But I guess I'd be able to talk a bit more about it later, as I said.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. That's great. Yeah, I think it's really, really important, you know, like even just the first 5 minutes, just to go over and over it just a few times so that you can get a nice crisp sort of age 1 to age 2 with any kind of Civ you play. So that's a really good piece of advice. So moving on to French then. What is your first tip that you can give the masses for the French?
Sorry, did you say the first tip?
Yes, the first tip, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna, I guess that was a good introduction. Yeah, the first tip would be your age one. Because France has like sort of 3 different age ups. Can be the 12-10, where you just don't build a house, so you just build a TP directly and don't chop for a house.
Yep.
There's the 13, where you do get house, but you age a veil early. And then there's the regular 14 age up, which is usually not the one you want, but sometimes you have to go for it just because you didn't get a great age one. So yeah, the first tip would be just like abuse that native scout. Don't send it like across the map or something. Just keep it close to the TP you're building, so you can find nearby treasures, which are treasures you will be able to get quickly. Try to look for wood treasures because you want to get that house for free or almost if you can. So that would be for a good 13 age up, because then as you don't need to chop wood, you can age earlier. Try to get some food treasures or livestock if you want to go for the 12-10, because the difference between a bad and a good 12-10 is like tremendous. It's basically like half a veil that you don't idle if you age earlier. So yeah, I would say that would be the first tip, because I keep seeing people just age 14 every game with friends. I'm like, what a waste, because it's not the same civ then. Like aging at 3 minutes 40 or something with a good 12-10 is not the same as aging at 4:30. It's just not. It's totally different. So yeah, that would be my first tip.
Fantastic. And your second one?
My second one would be okay, I would have usually said abuse the native scout, but I'm not gonna say that just because it's harder now, because the native scout gets spotted when units come nearby, the stealth was changed, so I guess it's a bit too hard. But I would say just abuse the flexibility of friends. Like, you can always do lots of stuff with one start as friends. Like, you can just drop that stable barracks and start some IFF, but anytime you can always like ship 700 wood or something and get a second building, or even double racks plus a stable, ship crates, mass units, go for an H2 push, or defend a push yourself or stuff like that. Like, just don't go but calf semi every game, right? Because that's one of the worst builds in that friends can do in a lot of situations. So as long as you macro properly, like you ship 700 wood, you do the math, that means like 10 crossbows plus 3 houses or something like that, then you just can push with like 0 wood banked, 0 coin bank basically, and have like such a massive army in H2. So yeah, abuse that H2 flexibility friends can have. That's what I would say. Just don't go for the.
And I say that's kind of why people kind of struggle with the Civ. Yes, a lot of people say it's a good beginner Civ, but to try and get better with the Civ, it can be quite challenging, because it's not kind of a Civ where you can just do the majority of the time you do the same build order. It's one that you can chop and change and kind of adapt, which is a bit difficult for people to sort of get their head around. And understand. So.
Yeah. And I do agree that it's a good beginner Civ in a sense, in the sense that you can start with one build and do it and spam it, and it will work. Like your macro will work, your micro will work. It's not like you're playing auto or something super easy, but it's still easy enough to be accessible. But mastering it is pretty hard, I think. So it's a good beginner Civ, but to be good at France, I think it takes a lot of time. Indeed. For sure.
So what's your last one then? Last one that you could give, a tip that you could give for people for France?
Yeah, so the third tip I would give would be don't be afraid to be aggressive as France. Again, like I said, it's a bit related to the previous tip. Like you can age. The 2 previous tips, actually. You can age earlier than what people usually do. You can have more units out in H2 than what people usually do. And I think, you can be aggressive as France in a lot of matchups. You can go for that double racks, crossbow pike rush. Sadly, it has been a bit nerfed with the ranged infantry change. But anyway, it's still, you can go for this kind of stuff. You can ship 3 hus. you can hit strong timings in H2, and even in early, like you can H super fast to fortress. I have builds because you can. Of course, not against every civ, but
Yeah.
there's lots of matchups with like standard average civs, you know, where you can actually be the aggressor and get map control and stuff like that. And I think if you watch my tourney games, like lots of times you will see me go for the 12-10 3 horse, the crossbow pike rush, and this sort of stuff. So
yeah, something that you don't normally see, is it, with France? Like whenever I'm playing against France, I'm always expecting the cav to come in the base, and then I'm expecting a click up to H3. That's what I normally expect. But seeing like an H2 France is kind of a little bit unusual to me. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because people don't do it enough. But yeah, sure, yeah. And I think it's easy to be on the back foot as France if you're not aggressive. It's easy to just like play your standard cav semi into skirm goon and just fall behind because your opponent just booms or something, and you can't actively boom too much as France unless you get like a second TC or something. But you can always just have that solid eco that you have as France always, while dealing damage and putting pressure and keeping map control as well, because you need lots of hunts as France. So having that map control is pretty important too.
Fantastic. So moving on to the final bit then, if you could just be as short as possible so you don't go through all the details of the build, but just very, very briefly, what is at the moment your kind of standard, I could say, if you could say that, but strong kind of meta build currently that you're doing with France? I know there's different situations and it all depends, but like what are you having most success with?
The most success, it's pretty hard to explain because, like I said, it's lots of variations of H2 stuff. But I would say, generally speaking, the most success I have is starting to play H2 either aggressively, like I said, with crossbow pike or Huss, and or just shipping for CDBs and training cav. But anyway, after that, like hitting a strong H2 timing as well, and then aging up. So usually your opponent will age up with like his third or fourth shipment with a lot of civs, and you can just timing push at that point while they're aging or trying to get the resources to age, and you can usually deal good damage by then, and then just ship 600 coin or 700 coin behind and just age up yourself like barely later. Get that veterancy on your hussars because you have lots of them, or on your musketeers, and just going in again, you know. So yeah, basically H2 pressure into timing push into age up. Yeah, that's what I would do most of the time.
Fantastic. That's awesome. There we go. And finally, just very quickly, do you have any kind of fun kind of meme builds or anything like that you kind of just play around with or have in the past that's quite a fun thing to do with France?
Yeah, I used to have a pretty fun build, I think, with France. I don't think it really works anymore.
Everybody says that. Everybody says I don't think it works anymore.
the Grenadier Church Fast Industrial.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I used to like, rush to H3 and like really a naked Fast Industrial and just age with 1k coin and ship the Swiss spikes from it, which is not very strong because it's an H3 card, but it's just fun, and get those Grenadiers out. And they used to blast like everything. Yeah. Usually you would just die before you can get them, but when you could get them, it was lots of fun. But again, I think they changed the church card, so I'm not sure that works anymore.
Well, I'm sure people are going to be giving it a go now that you've mentioned it. But all I can say is, just to wrap it up, thank you very much, Kaiserklein, for coming on. A lot of people are not going to believe that I've managed to actually grab you for this masterclass. And I'm hoping that a lot of people will definitely learn something from what you've gone through, especially around kind of like the age 2 more aggressive options that you have with France that not many people potentially do. But all I can say is thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks to you. I did enjoy it. And can I give one last advice?
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
Yeah. Watch recorded games from tournaments. Like if you wanna improve your friends, like watch my Rex or Hazaz Rex or Maito's Rex. Don't just watch the cast, because casters can't see everything and stuff like that I mentioned. Like all these tips I mentioned, you will see them in the Rex. So just do that. You know, that would be just the last advice.
Lovely. There we go. A free bonus one. All right, Kaiserklein, thanks very much, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks to you, and see you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.